So far we discussed the properties of the fluid at rest. That's why that chapter was given name fluid statics. Now whenever the fluid is in motion, what are the properties of the fluid? What is the force acts on the fluid? What is the pressure difference when fluid flowing through the pipe? Okay, whenever in the fluid a body is dropped into the fluid, with what velocity it moves? How does the velocity of the body when moving through the liquid, how its velocity changes with time? In different cases we have to discuss. So in this chapter we are going to discuss the properties of the fluid in motion. That's why it is called fluid dynamics. Okay, now before going to discuss the uh, different topics in fluid dynamics, first of all, what is the fluid means, fluid, the matter which can flow. The matter which can flow is called the fluid. The matter which can flow is called the fluid. Okay, the matter which can flow. The matter which can flow is called fluid. What are the examples for fluid? What are the examples for fluid? Example, liquids and gases. No, liquids and gases. Liquids can flow from one place to another place. Gases can flow from one place to another place. Okay, so these two are the examples for fluids. Okay, properties of the fluids are characteristics of the fluids. Characteristics are properties of the fluids. Characteristics are properties of the fluids. So first one, fluid flow may be whenever the fluids are in motion, when water is flowing through the pipe, air is blown from one place to another place. In such case, whenever the fluid is in motion, the fluid flow may be streamline flow or turbulent flow. So what is the streamline flow, turbulent flow? We have to discuss. So first one, fluid flow may be streamline flow or turbulent flow. Fluid flow may be streamline flow or turbulent flow. Streamline flow or turbulent flow. Turbulent flow. Here suppose in a tube, having non-uniform area of cross section, say uniform area of cross section or non-uniform area of cross section, whatever it may be, whenever the fluid flowing through the pipe having non-uniform area of cross section, whenever the fluid flowing through the pipe having non-uniform area of cross section, the line joining the centers of the all cross sections of the tube, that is called the axis of the tube. So this is the axis of the tube. The line passing through centers of all cross sections of the tube is called axis of the tube. So this is the axis of the tube. Okay, whenever the fluid is in motion in the tube or liquid is flowing through the tube, then you consider the different points. Whenever the fluid is in motion, you consider the different points in the fluid flow. At this point, at this point, at this point, like that. You consider the different points in the fluid flow. Here in fluid flow, the path along which in fluid flow, the path along which the fluid particle travel, the path along which the fluid particle travel, that is called streamline. That is called streamline. Okay, so here, so in case of fluid, whenever the fluid is in motion, the path along which fluid particles travel, that is called the streamline. So this is one streamline. In this way, number of streamlines are there. Here we can draw the number of streamlines like this. These are the different streamlines. You consider the motion of one particle along a streamline. Suppose this is one such particle. While passing, whenever the fluid is flowing through this tube, suppose the velocity of the fluid particle at this point while passing through this point is say VA, then the velocity of the fluid particle while passing through this point A is along tangential direction to this streamline. Okay, so you draw a tangent at this point to this streamline path, then that is say VA. While passing through the point B, The speed of the particle is along the tangent drawn at this point, that is a VB. Here at this point, when you draw the tangent, that is the VC. Say, if the velocity of the fluid particles passing through a point in their path, passing through certain point in their path, that remains same with time for each and every particle while passing through this point. If the velocity of the fluid particles passing through any point in the fluid flow that remains constant with the time, then such type of flow is called the streamline flow. So whenever the fluid is flowing through the tube, the velocity of the fluid particles passing through certain point in their path remains constant both in magnitude and direction, then such type of fluid flow is called the streamline flow. The same particle when passing through other point, the velocity of that particle may change, but while passing through this point, each and every fluid particle must be having same velocity both in magnitude and direction. It should not change with the time. Okay, such type of fluid flow is called the streamline flow. If the same particle when reaches the point here, its velocity may be changed to VB and the direction is this one. Then while passing through each and every fluid particle through this point, that every fluid particle passing through this point must be same as VB and the direction also same. If the same particle reaches the other point, here velocity may be changed, but each and every fluid particle while passing through the point C must be having same velocity in magnitude, which is equal to VC, and the direction must be same. In such a way, if the fluid flows, then such fluid flow is called the streamline flow. So the fluid flow is said to be streamline flow whenever the different fluid particles passing through a point, passing through certain point in the fluid flow remains same both in magnitude and direction with the time, then such type of fluid flow is called the streamline flow. So that is the definition of the streamline flow. Okay, next, turbulent flow. Second one, turbulent flow. Turbulent flow. This streamline flow is also called as the laminar flow. Streamline flow is also called as the laminar flow. Next, turbulent flow. When the fluid is flowing through the pipe or in the fluid flow, if the different particles passing through a point, if different fluid particles passing through certain point in their path varies with time in magnitude or in direction or in both, then such type of fluid flow is called the turbulent flow. Such type of fluid flow is called the turbulent flow. For example, when you open the tap very narrowly, suppose this is the tap, it is the tap. When you open the tap narrowly so that the water comes out with a very small amount of water comes down. In such case, if you see the water coming out of the tap, then the shape of the water flow is like this. As long as the water comes down, the area of cross section of the water flow gradually decreases. In this case, the water does not spray. The water does not spill out. The water does not sprinkles. Whenever the speed of the water with which it comes down is very less. Is it correct or not? Practically, we can experience this one. When you open the tap very small amount, very narrowly, then the water coming, while water coming out here, the area of cross section of the water flow gradually decreases. Have you seen or not? Okay. In this case, the water does not sprinkles, that does not spray. Okay. So this type of fluid flow is called the streamline flow. This type of fluid flow is called streamline flow. Suppose when the water comes out, so that when you open the tube now broadly, when you open the valve or tap broadly, then water, whenever water comes out, it sprays like this. It sprays like this. In this case, while passing through while passing through a certain point here, the velocity of the fluid particles passing through this point changes with time. This type of fluid flow is called the turbulent flow. So this is the example for turbulent flow. Turbulent flow. So that is the difference between the streamline flow and turbulent flow. So fluid flow may be streamline, may be turbulent. Okay. So fluid flow may be streamline flow or turbulent flow. This is the turbulent flow. Sorry, this is a first one. It is the streamline flow. streamline flow, and B, it is turbulent flow. So there are two types of fluid flows are there. Okay, next, second characteristic property. Second characteristic property. Fluid flow may be compressible or incompressible. Fluid flow may be compressible or incompressible. Second one. Second one, fluid flow may be compressible or incompressible. Compressible or incompressible. Fluid flow may be compressible or incompressible. Whenever the fluid flowing through the pipe, if the pressure of the density of the fluid remains constant throughout the fluid, then such fluid is called incompressible fluid. For example, you take the liquid or water. Whenever the water flowing through the pipe, the density of the water remains constant throughout its volume. There is no considerable change. Even the water comes out through the pipe with more speed or less speed, the density of the water does not change. The density of the water does not change. Okay, Rajesh, I will upload. So the density of the water does not change. That's why the water or in general liquid can be treated as the incompressible fluid. But whereas in case of gas, whenever you open the tap very narrowly, then in such case, the pressure of the air inside the pipe increases more. That means that is the compressible. The pressure will change, so the density will change. That's why that is the compressible. So liquid is the incompressible. That's why liquid is the fluid, gas is also the fluid, but gas is the compressible, liquid is the incompressible. That's why fluid may be compressible or incompressible. Okay. In general, liquid is incompressible fluid. Incompressible because compression is negligible. In case of gases, they are compressible. Okay, this is the other property of the fluid. Next, fluid flow may be rotational or irrotational. Fluid flow may be rotational or irrotational. Rotational or irrotational. Fluid flow may be rotational or irrotational. For example, whenever the fluid is flowing, that suppose you take the river, when the water is flowing in the river, on the surface of the water, if you just drop a thread over the surface of the water, if the thread travel along the straight line path only, or along the in translated motion only, without making rotations, whenever the water is flowing in a river, if you drop a thread over the surface of the water, if the thread moving in forward direction only without making rotations, such flow is called the irrotational fluid. Sometimes whenever the webs and tides occurs during cyclones, etc., when you keep the thread over the surface of the water, the thread makes rotations. Thread makes rotations means the fluid particles making rotations. Because of that only, thread also moving along the curved path or circular path, along the circular path. Such type of fluid flow is called the rotational fluid. That's why fluid flow may be rotational or irrotational. Fluid flow may be rotational or irrotational. Okay, this is another type of fluid flow. Next, fourth one, fluid flow may be compressible or incompressible. Sorry, fluid flow may be viscous or non-viscous. Fluid flow may be viscous or non-viscous. Already compressible, incompressible is over now. So fluid flow may be viscous or non-viscous liquid. Fluid flow may be viscous or non-viscous. Viscous or non-viscous. Fluid flow may be viscous or non-viscous. For example, whenever the fluid is flowing, suppose water is flowing over the surface of the earth. Suppose this is the bed of the lake. It is the bed of the river. Okay, water is flowing over the surface of the earth with certain velocity in forward direction. The flow of the fluid or flow of the water can be imagined as the combination of number of layers. No, fluid flow అవుతున్నప్పుడు, fluid లేదా వాటర్ ఫ్లో అవుతున్నప్పుడు ఆ వాటర్ ని నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ లేయర్స్ యొక్క కాంబినేషన్ గా మనం ఇమాజిన్ చేసుకోవచ్చు కదా. ఫ్లూయిడ్ ఫ్లో అవుతున్నప్పుడు లేదా వాటర్ ఫ్లో అవుతున్నప్పుడు ఆ వాటర్ ఫ్లోని కాంబినేషన్ ఆఫ్ నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ లేయర్స్ గా మనం ఇమాజిన్ చేయొచ్చు కదా. కాంబినేషన్ ఆఫ్ నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ లేయర్స్ లైక్ దిస్. ఓకే, అంటే ఫ్లూయిడ్ ఇటువైపు ఫ్లో అవుతున్నప్పుడు, ఫ్లూయిడ్ డైరెక్షన్ లో ఫ్లో అవుతున్నప్పుడు the fluid flow can be imagined as the combination of number of imaginary layers like this. We can imagine. Okay, is the velocity of the lower layer is more or upper layer is more, or all are same? Tell me, is the velocity of the upper layer is more or lower layer is more, or all are same? Tell me. It's our common experience also. When you go to picnic or any seashore like Vizag, Sri Lanka, etc., Bombay beach అటువంటి వాటికి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు, okay, whenever the sea water flows, so whenever the sea water comes towards us, then when high altitude water comes towards us, then immediately we sink in the water. When you sink in the water, we does not thrown, because the water of the velocity of the water at certain depth is somewhat less compared to what velocity of the water at the surface. Similarly here also, here is the velocity of the liquid layer is more at the top or more at the bottom? Where it is more? No, as depth increase, pressure increase. No, as depth increase, pressure increase. As depth increase, pressure increase. Whenever pressure increase, this layer at the bottom pushes the lower layer with more force. Due to that, the Cauchy forces exist here. The force of attraction present between any two similar molecules is called the Cauchy force. The force of attraction present between any two dissimilar molecules, that is the adhesive force. Here, in between any two layers in contact, in between any two layers in liquid layers in contact, Cauchy forces are there. The molecules in the lower layer attracts the molecules in the upper layer like this. Similarly, molecules in the lower layer attracts the molecules in the upper layer. Okay, but as the depth increase, pressure increase. When pressure increase, one layer pushes the upper layer, pushes the lower layer with more force. That's why molecules in the lower layer are somewhat nearer to each other. Of course, that compression is very small, but as the pressure is more, molecules of the lower layer are compressed more. Of course, that compression is very less, but a little bit increase. Little bit compression is there. Due to that, as more pressure acts at this on the lower layer, the molecules are somewhat rigid. The molecules of the lower layer cannot move freely as more pressure acts on the molecules of the lower layer. As long as we move upwards, the pressure decreases. Whenever pressure decreases, the molecules gets freedom. That's why the molecules at the upper layer, the molecules in the upper layer of the liquid or fluid move freely. That's why as we move upwards, the velocity of the fluid layers gradually increase. So the upper layer is having velocity v and lower layer is having velocity a little bit less. Little bit is less. That is say v minus delta v. If it comes down, the velocity of the liquid layers gradually decrease, and the velocity of the liquid layer which is in contact with the bed of the lake or bottom of the river, that is theoretically it is zero. Ante ఏ లిక్విడ్ లేయర్ అయితే బాటమ్ బెడ్ ఆఫ్ ది లేక్ తో కాంటాక్ట్ లో ఉందో, బాటమ్ సర్ఫేస్ ఆఫ్ ది రివర్ తో కాంటాక్ట్ లో ఉందో, దానికి వెలాసిటీ ఆల్మోస్ట్ ఆల్ జీరోగా మనం ట్రీట్ చేస్తాం. ఎందుకంటే బెడ్ ఆఫ్ ది లేక్ కి లిక్విడ్ లేయర్ మాలిక్యూల్స్ కి మధ్య అడెసివ్ ఫోర్సెస్ ఉంటాయి. సర్ఫేస్ ఆఫ్ ది ఎర్త్, నెక్స్ట్ మాలిక్యూల్స్ ఆఫ్ ది లిక్విడ్ సర్ఫేస్, మాలిక్యూల్స్ ఆఫ్ ది లిక్విడ్ లేయర్, ఈ రెండింటి మధ్య డిఫరెంట్ మాలిక్యూల్స్ అవి. దట్స్ వై దే ఆర్ హ్యావింగ్ అడెసివ్ ఫోర్సెస్. బికాస్ ఆఫ్ అడెసివ్ ఫోర్సెస్, as earth cannot move, this earth attracts the molecules of the layer in contact, molecules of the liquid layer in contact with the earth. They brings the molecules of the layer of the liquid in contact with the earth zero, brings to rest. That's why theoretically the velocity of the molecules of the liquid layer in contact with the earth, that can be considered as zero. But as long as we move upwards relatively compared with upper layer, at the lower layer as pressure is more, these molecules are somewhat rigid. The molecules in the lower layer are somewhat, they are having less velocity as pressure is more. Okay, because of that, here these molecules in the lower layer try to attract the molecules in the upper layer. Molecules in the lower layer attracts the molecules in the upper layer in this direction. At the same time, the molecules of the upper layer attracts the molecules of the lower layer in this direction. Because of that, the molecules of the lower layer and in between the molecules of the lower layer and the molecules of the upper layer, there is some force due to similar molecules act, which is the coercive force. Such coercive force of attraction acts between any liquid layers, opposes the relative motion between the two layers in contact. Because lower layer is at more pressure. That's why these molecules try to decelerate the molecules of the upper layer more. But upper layer try to accelerate the molecules of the lower layer less. That's why there is a net decrease in the relative velocity of molecules of the upper layer with respect to lower layer due to the attraction forces or coercive forces between two layers in contact that opposes the relative motion between two layers in contact. Such coercive force between the two layers in contact of the liquid, which opposes the relative motion between them, is called the viscous force, or simply, okay, that is called the viscous force or viscous drag. Viscous force. In case of liquid layers, viscous force is there. In case of gaseous layers, also viscous force is there. Here, this is the viscous force. That viscous force acts between two layers in contact opposite to their motion. That's why viscous force is represented by Fp. So what is the viscous force means? The coercive force between two layers in contact in case of a fluid, which opposes a relative motion between them. That is called the viscous force or viscous drag, or resistance due to fluid. That resistance due to fluid is also called as the viscous force. So here, the coercive force between two liquid layers in contact, or gaseous layers in contact, layers in contact. Here you consider the liquid only, because of coercive forces between two layers in contact, the relative motion between the two layers in contact is opposite. That is called the viscous force in case of liquid. The coercive force between two liquid layers in contact that opposes relative motion between them. Is called viscous force or viscous drag. Viscous force or viscous drag. Okay, this is also called as the resistance due to liquid. Okay, here it was found that the viscous force between two layers, according to Newton's law, according to Newton's law of viscosity, viscosity means the property of the fluid by means of which it opposes the relative motion between any two layers in contact of the fluid. That is called viscosity. The property of the fluid by means of which it opposes the relative motion between any two fluid layers in contact or any two liquid layers in contact. That is called, such property is called viscosity. Okay. Such property is called viscosity. So according to Newton's law of viscosity, Newton found that the viscous force between two layers in contact is directly proportional to the area of contact. Area of contact means, suppose you see, you consider certain area, you consider up to this area only, you consider these layers only having area of contact capital A. Okay, so the viscous force is directly proportional to area of contact, because if area of contact is more coercive forces exist between them that opposes the relative motion between them. That's why viscous force is more whenever area of contact is more. Viscous force is also directly proportional to the velocity gradient. Velocity gradient means dv by dx. dv by dx means, you see here, the velocity of this liquid layer is v. Velocity of this liquid layer is v. V minus delta v. The difference between, suppose the distance between these two liquid layers is say delta x. The distance between these two liquid layers is a delta x. That means from the bottom, it is, this layer is at a distance x, the upper layer is at a distance say x plus delta x. Then the separation between the two layers in contact is equal to delta x. Or we can say dx also, no problem. Delta x, you write better to write delta x. Okay, the difference between velocities of these two layers in contact is this minus this, that is equal to delta v. For the separation between the two layers, delta x, because these two layers are separated by distance delta x, no, then it is the change in velocity between the two layers in contact which are separated by distance delta x is delta v. Then what is the change in velocity of the fluid layers in contact for unit separation between them? అంటే ఈ రెండు లేయర్స్ మధ్య యూనిట్ సెపరేషన్ డిస్టెన్స్ ఉన్నప్పుడు అప్పుడు చేంజ్ ఇన్ వెలాసిటీ ఎంత అంటే డెల్టా వి బై డెల్టా ఎక్స్. దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ ద వెలాసిటీ గ్రేడియంట్. దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ వెలాసిటీ గ్రేడియంట్. సో ఫ్రమ్ దిస్ ఎఫ్వి ఈజ్ ప్రపోర్షనల్ టు, ఈ కంబైన్ దీస్ టూ, ఎఫ్వి ఈజ్ ప్రపోర్షనల్ టు ఏ ఇంటూ డెల్టా వి బై డెల్టా ఎక్స్. A into delta v by delta x. That implies Fv is equal to, that means viscous force is equal to some proportionality constant eta into A into delta v by delta x, where the proportionality constant eta is called the coefficient of viscosity. The proportionality constant eta is called coefficient of viscosity of the liquid. Coefficient of viscosity. Sometimes in the books, viscosity instead of coefficient of viscosity, simply viscosity, the viscosity of the liquid is so and so, it will be given directly like that. So based on the given information, sometimes even viscosity is mentioned, we have to treat them as the coefficient of viscosity. So viscosity, coefficient of viscosity. Here the coefficient of viscosity depends on the nature of the liquid taken or nature of the gas taken. The coefficient of viscosity depends on the nature of the fluid taken and temperature, but it doesn't, here nature of the fluid and temperature, but it does not depends on the velocity of the fluid. Okay. Okay, from this, therefore we got viscous force Fv is equal to eta A into dv by dx, where dv by delta v by delta x, of course, delta v by delta x, delta v by delta x, where delta v by delta x is called velocity gradient. Delta v by delta x, that is called the velocity gradient. That means change in velocity per unit separation between them. For delta x separation between the two layers in contact, change in velocity is delta v. Then change in velocity per unit separation between them, that is called the velocity gradient. Velocity gradient. So what is the SI unit of velocity gradient? What is the SI unit of velocity gradient? Here, change in velocity means meter by second by meter, means per second. Per second is the SI unit of the per second is the SI unit of the velocity gradient. SI unit per second. Okay, now from this formula, coefficient of viscosity eta is equal to, we can write Fv by A by delta v by delta x. Fv by A by delta v by delta x. So from this, eta is equal to Fv by A means, you see, in previous diagram, Suppose whenever the fluid layers are like this, suppose it is the bed of the lake, then it is the viscous force. Viscous force is along the tangential direction to the fluid flow. No, fluid ఈ direction of flow అవుతున్నప్పుడు plane of contact of the two layers in contact దానికి parallel గా వాటి యొక్క మోషన్ కి ఆపోజిట్ డైరెక్షన్ ఉంది కాబట్టి విస్కస్ ఫోర్స్ ని ఇక్కడ మనం మైనస్ గా కూడా రాసుకోవచ్చు. ఓకే, సో హియర్ ద టాంజెన్షియల్ విస్కస్ ఫోర్స్ మనం కన్సిడర్ చేసిన ఏరియా ఆఫ్ ది లిక్విడ్ లేయర్స్ ఇన్ కంటాక్ట్ ఏ అనుకుంటే టాంజెన్షియల్ విస్కస్ ఫోర్స్ బై ఏరియా దట్ ఈస్ ద టాంజెన్షియల్ విస్కస్ స్ట్రెస్ లేదా విస్కస్ ఫోర్స్ పర్ యూనిట్ ఏరియా, దాన్నే టాంజెన్షియల్ విస్కస్ స్ట్రెస్ అంటాం. టాంజెన్షియల్ విస్కస్ స్ట్రెస్ బికాస్ దిస్ విస్కస్ ఫోర్స్ ఇస్ టాంజెన్షియల్ టు ద లిక్విడ్ లేయర్స్ ఇన్ కంటాక్ట్. రెండు లేయర్స్ కాంటాక్ట్ ఉన్న ప్లేన్ ఇది, ఆ ప్లేన్ కి ప్యారలల్ గా టాంజెన్షియల్ డైరెక్షన్ లో విస్కస్ ఫోర్స్ ఉంటుంది కాబట్టి viscous force by area of contact gives tangential viscous stress. Tangential viscous stress. Force by area is nothing but pressure or stress by velocity gradient. Velocity gradient. So here tangential viscous stress means Fv by A. Okay. Now from this, how we can define the coefficient of viscosity? From this, how we can define the coefficient of viscosity? The ratio between the tangential viscous stress to velocity gradient is called the coefficient of viscosity. What, Harshvardhan? What is our doubt? Harshvardhan. Harshvardhan, you respond please. So tangential viscous stress by velocity gradient. So the ratio between, what is the clarity? Is the board clarity or you are unable to understand? I think board is clear only. Remaining people, please respond. Is board is clear or not? Board is clear only. Harshvardhan, you check your system. Okay. Right. Here, ratio between the tangential viscous stress to velocity gradient is called coefficient of viscosity. Or that is one definition. Or suppose if velocity gradient is 1, then tangential viscous stress by 1 is equal to eta, no? So the tangential viscous stress required, the tangential viscous stress acts per unit velocity gradient, that is equal to coefficient of viscosity. The tangential viscous force per unit velocity gradient, sorry, the tangential viscous stress per unit velocity gradient, that is called the coefficient of viscosity. So that is also one type of definition of the coefficient of viscosity. Okay. Now, what is the, it is a scalar quantity. On what factors eta depends? Eta depends on nature of fluid. Of course, it is the, in case of liquid only, nature of liquid and temperature of the liquid. When temperature increases because of expansion of the liquid, distance among the molecules increases. Whenever distance among the molecules increases, coercive force decreases. When coercive force decreases, then viscous stress decreases. That's why coefficient of viscosity decreases. That's why in case of liquids, the coefficient of viscosity decreases with increase of temperature. Okay, later I will discuss that one. So eta depends on nature of liquid and temperature. Okay. What is the SI unit? What is the SI unit of coefficient of viscosity? You see, viscous stress means force by area, Newton per meter square. Okay, it is per second, second inverse. Okay, therefore Newton by meter square by second inverse, because delta V by delta X means already second inverse we have noted, no, unit second inverse. Newton per meter square means Pascal, no? Newton per meter square means that is the Pascal. Pascal. Second, 1 by second inverse means we can write second, no, directly second. So SI unit of coefficient of viscosity is Pascal second or pas. Pascal second or pas. Celsius unit. Celsius unit is dyne per meter square per second. Celsius unit is dyne per meter square per second. Okay. Or this is also called as the poise. This is also called as the poise. Dyne per centimeter square, not meter. Dyne per centimeter square per second. Dyne per centimeter square per second. That is the Celsius unit of the coefficient of viscosity. It is also called as the poise. So what is the relation between pass and poise? 1 pass is equal to 1 Pascal second is equal to 10 poise. 1 Pascal second is equal to 10 poise. This relation is very, very important while doing problems. Okay. So 1 pass is equal to 10 poise. It is also important one. So this is about coefficient of viscosity. Okay. Now note point. First one, in liquids, viscosity property is due to which viscosity in liquids, viscosity property is due to which reason? Viscosity property. How the viscosity property exists in case of liquids? Tell me. So far from this explanation, how the viscosity property exists in case of liquids? Because of cohesive forces. Okay. So in liquids, viscosity property is due to cohesive forces or attractive forces, because these are the attractive forces only, no? Cohesive forces, in brackets, attractive forces. Attractive forces. Here, in case of liquids, the coefficient of viscosity varies with the temperature. In case of liquids, the coefficient of viscosity varies with the temperature according to the graph. Like this. Here, when temperature increases, because of expansion of the liquid, the distance among the molecules increases. When it increases, cohesive forces decrease. When cohesive force decreases, then viscous force decreases. That's why viscosity property is decreased. Hence, when temperature increases, here it is the temperature. Here it is the temperature. Here it is the coefficient of viscosity. Okay, when temperature increases, the coefficient of viscosity gradually decreases. Here, this can be represented according to the equation eta is equal to A plus B by T. A plus B by T. Okay, here in case of liquids, the coefficient of viscosity varies with the Kelvin scale of temperature according to the graph like this, according to the equation like this. This equation can be represented like this. From this equation, if you draw the graph between eta and T, then we'll get the graph like this. Okay, next, in case of gases, this point is very, very important. In case of liquids, viscosity properties because of cohesive forces of attraction. But in case of liquids, how the viscous force exists? Because in case of gases, we know always the gases molecules are at random. When the gases are in motion, gas are flowing from one place to another place. In such case, all the molecules are at random. The molecule here, when the molecules of the lower layer, in contact with the upper layer, among them collision takes place. Because of collision, the relative motion between the two layers in contact decreases. Due to that, viscous force exists between any two gases layers in contact because of collision. So in case of gases, viscosity property is due to collision among the particles. Collision among the particles. Collision among the particles in adjacent layers in contact. In adjacent layers of contact. Okay, in case of gases, when temperature increases, whatever the viscosity property, tell me based on this concept. In case, you see, in case of gases, whenever the gas is in motion, when gas is flowing from one place to another place, then the molecules of the lower layer, in between the molecules of the lower layer and upper layer, collision takes place because they are at random. In case of gases, molecules are at random. They move in different directions with the different velocities. So collision takes place among them. Whenever collision takes place due to exchange of momenta from one particle to another particle, the relative motion between two gaseous layers in contact decreases. Such force developed because of interaction between the two layers in contact that opposes the relative motion between them is called the viscous force in case of gaseous layers. Okay, that's why the viscosity property in case of gases is due to the collision among the particles in adjacent particles of adjacent adjacent layers in contact. Adjacent layers in contact. Okay, so when temperature increases, whatever the viscosity property. When temperature increases, whatever the viscosity property. When temperature increases, the RMS velocity of the particles increases, or velocity of the particles increases. Randomness increases more. Due to that, strong interaction or strong collisions takes place between two layers, among the molecules of the two layers in contact. Due to that, the viscous force increases between two layers in contact. That's why in case of gases, when temperature increases, viscosity property also increases. That's why in gases, viscosity property is due to collision among the particles of adjacent layers in contact. That's very, very important point. Here, when temperature increases, when temperature capital T increases, the viscosity property also increases. Viscosity property or viscous force, viscosity property increases. So in case of gases, their coefficient of viscosity varies with the temperature according to the graph. Here, in case of gases, coefficient of viscosity is directly proportional to square root of Kelvin scale of temperature or absolute scale of temperature. Okay, so when temperature increases, coefficient of viscosity also increases. Our coefficient of viscosity is equal to some proportionality constant eta naught into root T. This is the relation between coefficient of viscosity and the temperature of the gas. Okay, so for this, if you draw the graph, then you will get coefficient of viscosity along y-axis and Kelvin scale of temperature along x-axis. If you draw the graph, then you will get how you will get the graph. Suppose if you draw the graph between root T and eta, then you will get a straight line like this, no? You will get a straight line like this. When temperature increases, coefficient of viscosity also increases because of strong interaction. Okay, this is how the coefficient of viscosity in case of gases changes with the Kelvin scale of temperature. Okay, this point is also very, very important. These 2 points are important for objective. Okay, next, what is the dimension formula of coefficient of viscosity? Dimension formula of coefficient of viscosity. Third one, viscous force is equal to, of course, actually we can write minus sign also, minus eta into dv by dx, no, eta a into dv by dx. This is dv by dx or delta v by delta x. It is the formula for viscous force. This minus sign represents viscous force is opposite to the velocity of the fluid. If velocity of the fluid is in this direction, then viscous force is in opposite direction. So this negative sign represents the viscous force opposes the relative motion between the two bodies, because this delta v or dv is the relative motion between two layers in contact. Okay, so we can write this like this also. Now we have to write the dimension formula of coefficient of viscosity now. So in order to write the dimension formula of coefficient of viscosity, first you write what is the formula in which coefficient of viscosity is involved. So this is the formula, Newton's formula for viscosity of the liquid. Okay, you write this formula. Then as we have to write the dimension formula of coefficient of viscosity, eta is called something, you write eta is equal to Fv by A into dV by dx. Okay, of course you need not write minus sign, just coefficient of viscosity is this one. Okay, you write minus, no problem. Now dimension formula of coefficient of viscosity is equal to, of course minus sign has no any dimension formula, so Fp by A into dV by dx or delta V by delta x. Now we substitute the dimension formulas for various Viscous force means nothing but force. Dimension formula is ml t to the power of minus 2. No, ml t to the power of minus 1 means minus 2 means m to the power of 1 l to the power of 1 t to the power of minus 2 by area l square. dv by dx. dv means l t to the power of minus 1 by dx means nothing but length l. Okay, here l cancel. Therefore, dimension formula of coefficient of viscosity. Dimension formula of eta is equal to here m in m to the power of l, sorry, here l square cancel. Okay, now m to the power of 1, this l you write in the numerator, then l to the power of minus 1, t to the power of minus 2, here t to the power of minus 1 is there, you write this t to the power of minus 1 in the numerator only, then it becomes t to the power of plus 1. Minus 2 plus 1 means minus 1. m l inverse t to the power of minus 1. m l inverse t to the power of minus 1. It is the dimension formula of the coefficient of viscosity. It is the dimension formula of coefficient of viscosity. Okay. Next, once in mains, based on this Newton's law of coefficient of viscosity, related based on this viscous force, one problem they asked. How they asked is, I will explain. Note 4. Suppose fluid is flowing in a river, water is flowing. It is the bed of the lake. What is flowing in forward direction? The upper layer is having velocity say v. Here it consists of number of layers like this. Okay. Here the depth of the lake is say y or h. Depth of the lake is h. On the surface of this liquid, one metal plate is kept. On the surface of the liquid, one metal plate is kept. Okay. So whenever at certain instant, whenever this liquid layer is moving with a velocity v, in between this upper liquid layer and this metal plate of area A, this is the metal plate of area A. In between this metal plate and upper layer of the liquid, because of different molecules of the plate and this layer, liquid layer, adhesive forces are there. Because of adhesive forces, this liquid layer pulls the plate along with the liquid in this direction with a velocity v. But at the same time, because of viscous force between this layer and this layer, the lower layer opposes the motion of this upper layer in backward direction. Due to that, the velocity of the upper layer decreases. Velocity of the upper layer decreases. But because of that, the velocity of the plate decreases. But in order to move this plate with constant velocity on the surface of the liquid, what should be the force required? What should be the force that is to be applied on the plate to move with constant velocity? Means whatever the viscous force acts on the plate in backward direction due to this lower layer, whatever the viscous force acts on this upper layer due to lower layer, the same force acts on this plate in opposite direction. So when you apply the external force on the plate in this forward direction, which is equal to this viscous force, net force acts on the plate becomes 0, so that the plate travel with constant velocity. That's why external force required to move the plate with constant velocity. To move the plate with constant velocity, F is equal to viscous force, that is equal to eta A into dV by dx. So F is equal to eta A means area of the plate, whatever the area of the plate, that area of the liquid layers we have to consider. Okay, area of the plate into dV by dx. We know velocity of the lower layer in contact with the bed of the lake is 0. Velocity of the upper layer is v, that is the velocity of the plate. Okay, so v minus 0 by distance between these two surface layers. One layer considered at the bottom, another layer is at the top. Distance between these two is equal to depth of the lake. No, that's why dx means you write h, depth of the lake, h. That is equal to eta A v by h, where h is the depth of the lake. Depth of lake. So by using this formula, what is the force required? We can calculate. Okay. What is the force required? We can calculate. Next, can anybody say why the canals are constructed in U shape? Sorry, V shape, not U shape. V shape. Can anybody say? Canals are constructed in V shape. Canals are constructed in V shape. Why the canals are constructed in V shape? Anybody can? Canals are constructed in the form of V shape. I think you have seen the canals are constructed like this. Of course, water is flowing in V shape like this. Or canals are constructed like this. Am I right? What is flowing in the canals from one place to another place in the canals which are constructed in the form of V shape like this or like this, isn't it? What is the reason why canals are constructed in V shape? Very good, Nana. Sriram. Very nice. To reduce the viscous force. Because if canals are constructed in the form of like this U shape, then area of contact is more. Even if you go depth, the area of contact is more, no? Area of contact is same here. As depth increases, pressure increases. When pressure increases, viscous force will increase. If the area of contact does not change because of more viscous forces, the lower liquid, the velocity of the lower liquid reduces to zero, reduces very much more because of more viscous forces. Because viscous force is directly proportional to area of contact, no? If area of contact is more, viscous force is also more. And you see, in case of canals, due to depth, viscous force is more, because when depth increases, pressure increases. When pressure increases, then the two layers in contact, in between the two layers in contact, as molecules comes closer, the coercive forces will be more, so that the viscous forces are more due to more pressure. But at the same time, if area of contact is also more, then viscous force further increases. That's why viscous force is more when you construct the canals like this. Due to that, the velocity of the lower layers reduces to zero or reduces very quickly. That's why the lower liquid layers cannot go through more distances in the canals if you construct the canals like this. But here, when you construct the canals like this in the form of V shape, area of contact of the layer decreases, no? Because of increase in depth, pressure increases. Due to that, viscous force increases. But at the same time, whenever the area of contact decreases, then viscous force reduces. So the increase in viscous force due to pressure when you go to depth, that will be nullified by the decrease in area of contact. Because of decrease in area of contact, viscous force decreases. That's why increase in viscous force due to pressure, that will be minimized by decrease in area of contact by constructing the canals in the form of V shape. Due to that, even the lower liquid layers also go through longer distances in the canals. That's why canals are constructed in V shape. I think everyone followed this point. Are you followed this point or not? So canals are constructed in the form of V shape because canals are constructed in V shape to reduce viscous force. Very good. To reduce viscous force. Okay, right. So these are the some points related to viscous force. So this is the property of the one of the properties of the fluid. So the fluid flow may be viscous or non-viscous. It is the case of the viscous liquid. It is the case of the viscous liquid. If viscous forces are not there, that means in between any two layers in contact, if there is no viscous force, then such type of liquid is called non-viscous liquid. Such type of liquid is called non-viscous liquid. Okay. So fluid flow may be viscous or non-viscous. If viscous forces does not exist between any two adjacent layers in contact, any two adjacent layers in contact, adjacent layers in contact, comma, the liquid or the fluid, liquid or fluid is called non-viscous fluid, non-viscous fluid. Actually, there is no non-viscous fluid in the universe. If any fluid is there in which no viscous forces are there, such type of fluid is called an ideal fluid. So the fluid which has no viscous forces is called an ideal fluid. Ideal fluid. This is the case of the properties of the fluids. Okay, next. Types of energies of the fluid. Types of energies of the fluid. Types of energies of the fluid. Types of energies of the fluids. So in case of fluids, in general, fluids are having three types of energies mainly. Okay, one is as usual kinetic energy, because when the fluid is flowing from one place to another place, the fluid particles are having velocity. Due to that, the fluid particles are having kinetic energy. So in turn, the fluid is having kinetic energy. That's why fluid has kinetic energy. Kinetic energy. That kinetic energy is say K. Suppose in the fluid, whenever the fluid is in flow with a velocity v, then kinetic energy of the fluid is equal to half into mass of the fluid into velocity square. It is the kinetic energy of the fluid. Okay, kinetic energy of the fluid per unit mass. Kinetic energy per unit mass. Kinetic energy per unit mass means K by m. That is equal to v square by 2. No. Kinetic energy per unit volume of the liquid or fluid. Kinetic energy per unit volume. K by volume of the fluid you write. That is equal to kinetic energy means half m into v square by volume means, okay, you write cap, of course volume you write. Mass by volume is density, no? That's why that is equal to half rho into v square, where rho mass by volume, that is equal to density of the fluid. So the kinetic energy per unit volume of the fluid is half rho v square. Kinetic energy per unit mass is v square by 2. Kinetic energy of the fluid is equal to half m v square, where m is the mass of the fluid, v is the velocity of the fluid. It is the kinetic energy. Okay, next, potential energy. The liquid possesses potential energy also. Potential energy. Suppose m mass of the fluid flowing through the pipe at certain height from the ground. Then the potential energy of the fluid is equal to mass of the fluid into g into height from which that fluid is flowing. That is equal to potential energy of the fluid. Then what is the potential energy per unit mass? Potential energy per unit mass. It is the potential energy only. So potential energy per unit mass is equal to potential energy by mass. Potential energy means mgh by m. Mm cancels, so gh. Potential energy per unit mass is this one. Next, potential energy per unit volume is equal to U by volume here. U means mgh by volume means you write volume only. Mass by volume is the density into gh. It is the formula for potential energy per unit volume. What is the SI unit of the potential energy per unit volume? What is the SI unit of potential energy per unit volume? Energy means joule, by volume is meter cube, joule per meter cube. Potential energy per unit mass, joule per case. Potential energy means joule. Okay. Next, third one is very, very important. In order to flow the fluid from one place to another place, what we need? To send the fluid from one place to another place, what we need? Tell me. In order to flow the fluid from one place to another place, what we need? So we have to push the fluid with certain force. In order to apply the force, what we do? Pressure difference. Yes, very good. In order to apply the force on the fluid to flow from one place to another place, we have to maintain the pressure difference across the tube. When pressure difference is maintained across the tube, then fluid flow from high pressure to low pressure by means of the submersible pump. When you switch on, it maintains the pressure difference at the bottom and at the top. At the bottom, pressure is more, at the top, pressure is less. That's why fluid flow from higher pressure to lower pressure means from certain depth to top of the upper end of the tube, because of pressure difference only. Okay, so fluid flow from one place to another place because of pressure difference. So due to pressure difference, some force acts on the fluid flow and some work is done on the fluid because of pressure difference. That work done on the fluid because of pressure difference to move from one place to another place is stored in the fluid or liquid as the energy, which is called the pressure energy. So energy possessed by the liquid or gas or in general fluid because of pressure difference is called the pressure energy. Here, energy possessed by the fluid by virtue of its motion is called kinetic energy. Energy possessed by the fluid because of its position or it's because of its shape. Shape means in which pipe it is flowing, at what at height it is flowing. Based on that, it possesses energy called potential energy. The energy possessed by the fluid because of its pressure, that is called pressure energy. Pressure energy. So energy possessed by the fluid, energy possessed by the fluid because of pressure difference. Because of pressure difference, some work is done on the fluid. Such work done on the fluid is equal to gain in pressure energy by the fluid. That's why energy possessed by the fluid because of pressure difference or because of simply pressure, because of pressure difference is called pressure energy. Pressure energy. Suppose in a cylindrical vessel, the cylindrical vessel is having a side tube at its bottom. Here actually this side tube is closed with a piston. Side tube is closed with a piston. Okay, it is the piston. Frictionless piston. Side tube is closed with frictionless piston, just like it is a valve, say. Okay, then it is filled with liquid. Then it is filled with liquid. Now we want to increase the level of the liquid. We want to move the liquid from this place to this place in this direction. We have to move the liquid from this place to this place. That means what liquid has to flow from this place to this place. That means we have to push this piston in this direction. We have to push this piston in this direction. From this in this direction on the piston, you apply some pressure. Already, because if it is this vessel is open to atmosphere pressure acts on this. Because of this depth also pressure acts at this point. So total pressure at this point due to atmospheric pressure and depth of the lake, here some pressure acts and you apply the external pressure here. If you apply the pressure more than the pressure here, then some because of pressure difference across the piston, some work is done. Due to that work done or because of this pressure difference, suppose this piston is displaced through a small distance, say delta x or dx, delta x say. Because of pressure difference across the piston, that pressure difference is say P. P is the pressure difference. Pressure difference. Because of pressure difference across the piston, if it is displaced through a distance delta x, area of cross section of the piston is say capital A. Then what is the volume of the fluid enter into the tube because of this pressure difference? E pressure difference in maintain cheytam valla pressure difference across piston. Across piston. Pressure difference across this piston is P. Because of this pressure difference, suppose the piston displaces through a distance delta x, when delta V volume of the fluid enter into the tube. Due to that, liquid level rises. Okay, so what is the volume of liquid enter into the tube? Volume of liquid enter in the tube is say delta V. Delta V is equal to area of cross section of the piston into displacement of the piston, A into delta X. This is the volume of the liquid enter into the tube. It's only piston in the distance move అయిందంటే దీనికి equivalent volume గా liquid లోపలికి introduce అయి ఉంటుంది కదా. So what is the volume of the liquid or volume of the fluid enter into the vessel? That is equal to A into delta X. It is the volume of liquid enter into the tube. So what is the work done by this pressure difference on the piston in introducing this amount of volume of the liquid into the vessel? That work done we have to find. That work done is the pressure energy. That work done is the pressure energy. So work done W due to pressure difference. Work due to pressure difference. Work done on liquid due to pressure difference. Due to pressure difference. W is equal to pressure. You see, work done on the liquid due to pressure difference. W is equal to pressure into area gives force, no? Pressure difference across this piston or pressure difference across this liquid element is P. Pressure difference into area of cross section gives force acts on this liquid element. So force into displacement is delta X. Displacement is delta X. So this is equal to P into delta V. So this is the amount of work done because of pressure difference on the liquid to introduce the liquid into the vessel. ఈ ట్యూబ్ లో ఉన్న లిక్విడ్ ని వెసల్ లోకి ఇంట్రొడ్యూస్ చేయడానికి మనం ఈ లిక్విడ్ మీద ఎంత వర్క్ చేయాలి? ఈ లిక్విడ్ కాలమ్ ని డెల్టా ఎక్స్ డిస్టెన్స్ మూవ్ చేయాలంటే చేయవలసిన వర్క్ ఇది. దట్ వర్క్ ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు PA డెల్టా ఎక్స్ ఆర్ P ఇంటూ డెల్టా V. ఇట్ ఈస్ ద వర్క్ డన్ ఆన్ లిక్విడ్ డ్యూ టు ప్రెజర్ డిఫరెన్స్. Work done on liquid due to pressure difference to introduce into the vessel. To introduce the liquid into the vessel. To introduce the liquid into the vessel is equal to this one. Okay, this work done is stored in the liquid. This work done is stored in this liquid that is introduced into the vessel as the pressure energy. That's why this is equal to pressure energy. Pressure energy. Okay, so that pressure energy is say EP. Pressure energy EP. Okay, therefore pressure energy per unit mass. Pressure energy per unit mass is equal to EP by M. EP means P into delta V by mass of the, suppose delta M, say mass of the liquid delta M. Delta V by delta M means that is the density, no? That's why this is equal to P into rho. Mass by volume is density. By rho, no? By rho. It is not into rho, by rho. Because density is equal to mass by volume. Here volume by mass is there. That's why 1 by rho. So P by rho. Since density is equal to mass of the liquid introduced into the vessel by volume of the liquid introduced into the vessel. That is the density. Next, pressure energy per unit volume. Pressure energy per unit volume is equal to pressure energy by volume of the fluid enter into the tube. Volume of the fluid or liquid introduced into the vessel. That is equal to delta V. EP means pressure energy of the fluid is equal to P into delta V by delta V. Delta V cancel. So P. That means pressure energy per unit volume is numerically equal to pressure only or pressure difference only. Suppose at one end pressure is 0, then pressure difference is equal to pressure itself. That's why pressure energy per unit volume is numerically equal to pressure itself. That is equal to pressure difference or pressure difference. This is very, very important formula. Pressure energy per unit volume is equal to P, pressure difference. Pressure energy per unit mass is equal to P by rho. These two are very, very important formulas. These are very, very important formulas. So these are the these are the three different types of energies possessed by the fluid, or fluid means liquid or gas. Okay. Now, so based on these formulas, now we have to discuss the one law, that is the equation of continuity. Equation of continuity. Most important for IP point of view, equation of continuity. Equation of continuity. Suppose an ideal fluid flowing through the pipe. Suppose here there is a pipe of non-uniform area of cross section. When incompressible, non-viscous, irrotational fluid flowing through the pipe, in streamline flow, when incompressible non-viscous irrotational fluid flowing through the pipe in streamline flow, such fluid is called ideal fluid. Incompressible non-viscous irrotational fluid flowing through the pipe in streamline flow means that is the ideal fluid. So it is the ideal fluid. When ideal fluid flowing through the pipe which is having non-uniform area of cross section. So suppose this is one pipe. This is one pipe having non-uniform area of cross section. This is the axis of the pipe. It is the axis of the pipe. Suppose the area of cross section of the pipe at this end is say A1, area of cross section of the pipe at this end is A2. The average velocity of the fluid enter into the tube through this pipe is say V1. Average velocity of the fluid with which it comes out through the other end of the pipe is say V2. Why I used average velocity? That is important. V1, V2 are the average velocities. V1 and V2 are average velocities. Average velocities. Why I used the term average velocity? Already we know whenever the fluid is flowing in streamline flow, the liquid layer which is in contact with the bed of the lake can be considered to be at rest, I said, in case of ideal fluid. So here also the layer which is in contact with the boundaries of the tube, boundary. ఈ ట్యూబ్ యొక్క బౌండరీతో కాంటాక్ట్ లో ఉన్న ఫ్లూయిడ్ యొక్క వెలాసిటీ జీరో, లిక్విడ్ లేయర్ యొక్క వెలాసిటీ జీరోగా కన్సిడర్ చేస్తాం. ఇక్కడ నుంచి మనం ఇటువైపుకి వస్తున్న కొద్దీ ద వెలాసిటీ ఆఫ్ ది లిక్విడ్ లేయర్ ఇంక్రీజ్ అండ్ వెన్ ఎవర్ ద వెలాసిటీ ఆఫ్ ది ఫ్లూయిడ్ పార్టికల్స్ పాసింగ్ త్రూ యాక్సిస్ ఆఫ్ ది ట్యూబ్, దోస్ పార్టికల్స్ ఆర్ హ్యావింగ్ మాక్సిమం వెలాసిటీ. అంటే ఫ్రమ్ బౌండరీ ఆఫ్ ది ట్యూబ్ టు ద యాక్సిస్ ఆఫ్ ది ట్యూబ్ వెన్ యూ మూవ్, ద వెలాసిటీ ఆఫ్ ది ఫ్లూయిడ్ పార్టికల్స్ gradually increase. They are not constant. That's why I have considered the average velocity of the fluid particles that enter into the tube and leaving the tube. This is the average velocity. Okay, about this I will discuss in next concept. Bernoulli's theorem is there. At that time I will discuss in detail. Okay, sorry, not Bernoulli's theorem, Poiseuille's theorem. In Poiseuille's theorem I will discuss what is the average velocity, everything in clear, because one more formula to be derived. Okay. So here, through this cross section of the tube, the fluid or liquid enter into the tube with average velocity V1 and leaves the tube with average velocity V2, having area of cross section A2. Suppose in a small interval of time dt, the liquid displaces through a small distance, say dx1 in the tube. Let's say ds1, you take ds1. ds1 is the displacement of the liquid. ds1 is the displacement of the liquid entering into the tube in a small interval of time dt. Okay. Then what is the volume of the liquid entering into the tube? Volume of the liquid entering into the tube in a time dt seconds. Volume of the liquid entering into the tube in a time dt seconds is how much? Volume of liquid enter into the tube in dt seconds, in dt time, is, you see, area of cross section into average velocity gives, you see, area of cross section into ds1, no? Area of cross section into displacement of the liquid. Area of cross section into displacement of the liquid means ds1. It is the volume of the liquid enter into the tube in a time dt seconds. Okay. Volume of the liquid enter into the tube per second, or mass of the liquid enter into the tube per second. Mass of liquid enter into the tube per second is what? Mass of the liquid entering the tube per second means, you see, it is the volume into density of the liquid. Volume into density of the liquid ρ1. While entering into the tube, suppose the density of the liquid is say ρ1, while leaving the tube, the density of the liquid is say ρ2. Then mass of the liquid entering into the tube in a time dt seconds is equal to volume of the liquid entering into the tube into density. That gives mass of the liquid entering into the tube in a time dt. Then mass of the liquid entering into the tube per second is mass by time. That is the mass of the liquid entering into the tube per second. Okay. Similarly, their mass of liquid leaving the tube per second is what? Mass of the liquid leaving the tube per second is what? Average velocity v2, area of cross section a2, density ρ2. So by this formula only you write. Here also the same amount in the same time dt seconds. What is the mass of the liquid leaving the tube per second? So a into ds2 into ρ2 by dt. Okay, this is equation 1. This is equation 2. As we consider the incompressible non-viscous irradiation fluid flowing through the tube in streamline flow, whenever the fluid flowing through the pipe in streamline flow, each and every particle travel along the streamline flow only. There is no laminar flow. Laminar flow ante fluid flow ki perpendicular ga ee direction lo, ee boundaries ki perpendicular ga ee direction lo fluid ki etvanti velocity undadu. All fluid particles are flowing in the tube in streamline flow. Kabatti లోపలికి ఇక్కడ ఫ్లూయిడ్ పార్టికల్ ఇట్లా కొంత వెలాసిటీ ఎంటర్ అయిందంటే ఈ స్ట్రీమ్ లైన్స్ ఏ పాత్ లో ఉన్నాయో అదే పాత్ లో ట్రావెల్ చేస్తే తప్పితే దానికి పర్పెండిక్యులర్ గా ఉండే డైరెక్షన్ లో ఫ్లూయిడ్ ఫ్లో ఉండదు. ఇన్ కేస్ ఆఫ్ స్ట్రీమ్ లైన్ ఫ్లో. అదే టర్బులెంట్ ఫ్లో అనుకోండి ఉంటుంది, కానీ స్ట్రీమ్ లైన్ ఫ్లో లో ఉండదు. whenever in the streamline flow, as there is no perpendicular motion to the fluid particles which are perpendicular to the boundary of the fluid flow, okay, then whatever the mass of the fluid entering into the tube per second, the same amount of mass of the liquid must come out through the other end of the tube. Okay, so therefore these from 1 and 2, as flow is the streamline flow, as fluid flow is streamline flow, mass of liquid entering the tube per second is equal to mass of the liquid leaving the tube per second. That means a1 ds1 into ρ1 by dt is equal to a2 ds2 ρ2 by dt. Okay, dt cancel. As the fluid is incompressible, incompressible. Already properties of the fluid already we considered ideal fluid, that's why it is incompressible. Since incompressible, density of the fluid while entering, while leaving, both must be same. That's why rho 1, rho 2 same. Therefore, A1, okay, you don't cancel dt, you keep like that only. dt you keep like this only. So A1 ds1 by dt is equal to A2 ds2 by dt. Okay, that implies what about ds1 by dt? ds1 is the displacement of the fluid element considered here in a time dt. ds1 by dt gives average velocity of the fluid entering into the tube. That's why the average velocity of the fluid entering the tube is equal to v1. No? That's why ds1 by dt can be written as v1. Similarly, a2 into v2. So in case of fluid, in case of incompressible non-viscous fluid flowing through the tube in streamline flow, or which is the ideal fluid, in such case, the A1 V1, actually you see, A1 into ds1 is the volume of the fluid entering into the tube in a time dt seconds. Volume of the tube entering, volume of the liquid entering into the tube per second means A1 ds1 by dt. That is called volume rate of flow of the fluid entering into the volume rate of flow of the fluid entering into the tube. Similarly, volume rate of flow of the fluid leaving the tube. So this is equal to A1 V1, that is equal to A2 V2. So A1 V1 is the volume rate of flow. Therefore, volume rate of flow A1 V1 is equal to A2 V2. Okay, A1 V1 is equal to A2 V2. That is equal to constant through any cross section of the tube. Suppose here at the middle, the area of cross section of the tube is say A, and the average velocity of the fluid passing through this cross section is say V. Then in general, this is equal to A into V also. This is the equation of continuity. That is the equation of continuity. It is the equation of continuity. So whenever the incompressible non-viscous irritation fluid flowing through the pipe in streamline flow, then volume rate of the flow AV is equal to constant. That is the general expression, where V is the average velocity. That is important. Where V is the, here V is the average velocity. Average velocity. Okay, last one example, 42. Only 2 minutes, 3 minutes I will take. Note point. Note point. Okay, here suppose there is a tube in the form of Y junction. Tube in the form of Y junction like this. The area of cross section of the tube here is A, here it is A1, here A2. Whenever the fluid flowing through this pipe in streamline flow, the average speed of the fluid, flowing enter into the tube here is say V. When that fluid here, A into V is the volume rate of flow, no? A into V is the volume of the fluid enter into the tube per second. With that here, this liquid when reaches the junction here, it is divided into two parts. So one part flowing through this pipe with the average velocity V1, another part flowing through this pipe with the average velocity V2, V1 and V2. Then as it is the ideal fluid, there is no fluid flow perpendicular to the direction of the streamline flow. Streamline flow ఇటువైపు ఉన్నప్పుడు దానికి పర్పెండిక్యులర్ గా ఎటువంటి fluid flow ఉండదు కాబట్టి all fluid particles passing through the same path like this. That's why there is no radial flow. Radial flow అంటే ఈ fluid flow కి perpendicular గా ఎటువంటి flow అనేది లేదు కాబట్టి whatever the volume rate of the fluid enter into the tube, the same volume rate of flow divided into two parts. That's why volume rate of flow, దీంట్లోకి ఎంటర్ అయిన ఫ్లూయిడ్ యొక్క వాల్యూమ్ రేట్ ఆఫ్ ఫ్లో Q, ఇక్కడ Q1, ఇక్కడ Q2 అనుకుంటే వాల్యూమ్ రేట్ ఆఫ్ ఫ్లో comma Q is equal to, that is divided into two parts, Q1 plus Q2. Q means volume rate of flow. This is the volume rate of flow Q. Okay, volume rate of flow Q is equal to area of cross section to average velocity of the fluid, AB, is equal to Q1 means A1 V1 plus Q2 means A2 V2. Where suppose if you are given the radius of the tube, then area of cross section is pi r square we have to write. So this is the formula. Once based on this model, one problem was given. Okay, with this I will conclude the class. So based on these concepts, today you have to do the problems. Okay, right, have a nice day. I'm signing out. Okay, now bye all of you. Are you having any doubt in this? Are you having any doubt in this? Okay, I'm signing out.